Hello and welcome to First Friday. I'm Jackie Broach, and thank you for being with us. Our first guest today is Lieutenant Jim Ketcham. I have to tease you every time because how with a last name like that did you had to go into law enforcement, right?
Yeah, I was destined for it.
Anyway, sorry. So you were here to talk about the Polar Plunge, which is coming up this month, and it's one of the probably most anticipated events of the year for people who enjoy a good time and don't mind a little bit of chill. Because if this weather keeps up, you guys are truly going to have a polar plunge.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about the event, why it's important, and how people can get involved.
So Polar Plunge raises money for the Special Olympics. One thing good about the way that the law enforcement torch run has it set up is 100% of the money that's raised goes towards athletes in this state. There's 30,000+ athletes in South Carolina, and this is a large fundraising effort for them to support them so they can go to the Olympic Games. It also provides medical treatment for them, dentist appointments, and basically just general health and safety for them so they can participate in these events.
That's great. And you guys usually raise a pretty penny with these events.
Yep.
How much did you raise last year?
Last year was $45,000. We obviously want to raise the most amount as possible, but since the law enforcement torch run started in 1981, to date, we've raised over $1 billion throughout the world that goes towards Special Olympics.
And what is the Georgetown County Sheriff's Office's goal for this year?
Well, we set our goal every year at $75,000. We haven't quite met that goal the last couple of years, but we're hoping we can get close to it.
You set your sights high, though. I admire that.
Yeah, gotta have high expectations.
Great. How is fundraising going so far this year?
As I checked it last week, we were at $16,000. So we got quite a ways to go to get that money up to our goal.
Tell us when the Polar Plunge is, and just give us a little more information about exactly what it is for people who have not experienced it before.
The Polar Plunge is on February 7th. The registration opens at 10 a.m. We'll do a costume contest at 11, and then we'll plunge at 11:30. So basically, everybody will line up, and then everybody will run into the ocean and get wet and support our athletes.
How many years have y'all been doing this?
This is my 4th year running it, but we've been doing it for 6 years.
So I'm willing to bet that some years are more painful than others.
Yes.
What are your expectations for this year?
I haven't really watched the weather that far out yet, but I'm expecting it to be a little chilly.
How do you prepare yourself for that?
You really don't. You just kind of just do it.
Just do it?
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. So for people who have maybe not done this before, it's a little last minute. The event is tomorrow, but it's not too late. You can still come out, register on site, make a donation, and join in the fun. What advice do you have to get yourself ready for this event?
So just come on out. We're doing a costume contest. They can bring their best costume and plunge in their costume. You bring $50, and that's what we need to have you participate in the plunge. Obviously, you can bring more money if you like. Bring your friends, family.
Definitely bring friends, bring more money
to raise money for this great cause.
Yeah. And I've seen all kinds of costumes. Forrest the Squirrel was there one year. I've seen polar bears. I saw Chewbacca from Star Wars. What are some of the favorite costumes you've seen over the years?
My favorite was the Chewbacca one. He did a really great job of doing that costume.
That just did not seem comfortable going into the ocean.
No, but it might have insulated him to keep him warm.
Oh, good point. Okay.
So there might be a strategy to that.
So what is your strategy for going in? You said you just do it, but is there any prep?
No, I'm involved with setting everything up and keeping it running, and then just run down in the water, jump in, get wet, and come on out and start finishing up the event so everybody has a good time.
You should challenge yourself. Stay a little longer in the water every year.
Well, since I'm the coordinator of it, I got to get back out and help get everything finalized. And
a good excuse.
Mm-hmm. Hey, everybody's got one.
How many people normally show up for this event? The ones I remember, it's been a really good crowd. And this is, of course, at the Litchfield Inn.
Litchfield Inn, yep. The exact numbers, I don't know the exact numbers. We've had quite a large sum of people. Obviously, every year we want to grow it more. I'd love to get several hundred people to do it and increase our fundraising event, get more people involved.
Well, it is always a good time, always a great party. If you want a challenge and are not afraid of a little bit of cold, come on out, join. Do you have people who go out and enjoy the party but don't necessarily plunge in?
Yes, we do have some people that don't plunge, but they still raise money to support the athletes, and we need people to cheer the people running into the water to keep them motivated. So everybody helps.
So if you really don't like the cold, you can still go have a good time, but I think that you should obviously jump in and enjoy that part
Everybody
of it too.
should experience the shock of it
At
at
least
least
once.
once. Yep.
All right. Well, Jim, anything else you can think of to tell us?
No, just come on out and support our local athletes. There's 30,000+ athletes in the state. We got unified schools that we support here in Georgetown County, and it'd be great to raise money to support their efforts.
And can people make donations online if maybe they
Yep,
can't make the event?
There's a Classy page. You can go to the South Carolina Special Olympics page, and there's a link on there that brings you to all the plunges in the state, and you can select Georgetown County and make a donation.
Okay.
Support our local athletes.
But if you can make it, I would certainly encourage you to do that. Bring your friends and look for lots of great pictures on the Sheriff's Office Facebook page after the event. It's always a good time. Jim, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I
and
appreciate
good
it.
luck with the plunge tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am.
Our next guest is very special because I believe she has achieved something, as far as I know, nobody else ever has. This is Miss Susan Edwards, and she is our longest term employee, as far as I know, the longest term employee that Georgetown County has ever had. She is celebrating, well, you'll be recognized for 55 years this month. Really, you celebrated that anniversary last year because we always recognize people right after the calendar year ends. But 55 years, did you start when you were 4?
I wish. I wish I did, but no. But I've enjoyed every minute of it. I can promise you that.
Wow.
I really have.
I mean, that's an achievement. There are very few things that anybody does for 55 years.
I know.
So tell me about some of the things that you've seen in all that time. I mean, I'm just trying to imagine all the changes that have taken place in Georgetown County.
Well, when I first came to work, Sonny CO came and offered me the job in his office because he was the assessor and the auditor together. And we started out, we had to write our own tax. We wrote our own tax books. We wrote them up. The individual tags came in from the highway department. We had to put values on those for vehicles. And then we had to write up the tax rolls. And from there, we had to type the notices, the tax bills.
Did the county have any computers at that point? Was that even a thing?
No, we
And
had a huge...
What year would this have been when you started?
We started that in 71. So we had to, we had a huge, big machine. And where the servers are right now. And we had a big machine back there, and we took turns. We worked 2 hours at a time, came in at 7 and worked 2 hours and typed up the bills themselves. Then they went into another office, went back into the auditor's office, and we had 2 ladies in there checking them for mistakes, and they had to correct them, whatever mistakes had to be done. And they were all done in duplicate too. So they had to correct all those before they were mailed out. But everybody had to make a return back then. And besides us doing all of that, we still had to wait on the counter. So that was way back then. Back in 74 to 75 is when the offices split. And I was the head clerk, and so was Ruth Hodge. And Sonny CO couldn't have but one. So I went with the assessor. And Tommy Lane was the first assessor. And everything started changing then. And we still didn't have computers. We only had one appraiser at that time. That was Lester Johnson. And he went out and measured all the houses and everything else in the county.
Wow, one person for all of that. Of course, I'm imagining the county was probably a lot, not geographically, but population smaller back then.
It was. And I was trying to think. I think there was like 26,000 maybe parcels back then we had, or something like that. So, and we still had to do all the transfers and everything. And then I'm trying to remember when we got, were still doing everything manually when Tommy was there. And then Mike Obenshane came, and that's when we started with computers. and I'm not exactly sure the date of that, but that's when we had these huge, big old computers on our desk, and he wrote the program for us to get our software for appraising real estate.
Wow. So just for comparison, how many appraisers do we have today?
We have, let's see, 1, 2, 3. We have 7.
And you were the tax assessor. You held that position for a very long time. And I think you have officially retired and come back. Is that right?
Well, yes, I did.
And you came back as deputy assessor to
well-
kind of give somebody else a chance.
Well, what I did, no, I didn't actually retire then. I did the assessor's job for 22 years. And then I decided, well, I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do. So whether I was going to retire or what I was going to do. And of course, then my husband passed away. So
sorry.
I ended up coming back, just said, well, I was just going to stay. But I talked with Tim Holt and decided that perhaps we would switch positions so he could learn the other side, the administrative side. And so we talked to Walt, and we got all that in place and did all that. So I became the deputy, and then he became the assessor.
Yeah. And Walt used to be our HR director. He has now
Yes.
moved on to be county administrator at another county. But I'm still just trying to wrap my brain around doing anything for 55 years.
I know. The only thing, and like I said, I really and truthfully, I've enjoyed everything I've done. There have been times it has been really, some days have been really tedious with some of the taxpayers because of the laws changed so much, and they just don't understand. And if you could get them on a page where they could understand, usually they're all right, but we still have some that have really been pretty bad, but we've worked through it. And we really, I personally think we've done really, really well because we really haven't had that many appeals. And we've only had like 3, I think, to ever go before the board, or to go before the administrative law judge in the whole years that I've been there, that I know of.
What would you say is your favorite part about, the job that you do? Why do you stay?
Working with the citizens.
And I thought that's what you were going to say, because I will say I have never hesitated to send a resident to you, whatever their concern is, because you will bend over backward to find them the answer they're looking for and make sure that they are helped. So we are very lucky that you have decided to stay with us for this long.
Well, the only thing is, though, Jackie, and when like you and Ollie send things sometimes to me, and the only thing is, though, I started at the bottom. So I know a lot of stuff from the bottom up. So I know kind of where to go and, and what to do and where I could go to help them. So, and I think that's really our main objective, is to try to help the taxpayers because they don't understand the laws.
Yeah.
And so I think that's just the main thing. I just enjoy trying to do that, to try to help, see what we could do to help them.
So, I mean, you just have so much institutional knowledge and memory. You've seen how many county administrators? Probably countless county council members.
And yes, really. Yeah, we've seen quite a few. Gordon Hardwick. Well, Alfred Schuler. Then Gordon Hardwick. Tommy Edwards. Then Sale.
And now Miss Christian.
Yeah. Then Miss Christian. So it's kind of like, yeah, we've gone through a good many.
And I mean, you've seen the creation of departments.
Right.
So there's so much. And the courthouse, you've been in the courthouse the entire time?
Yeah.
You've
Sure
seen
have.
renovations to that building?
Right. And that's where they used to hold court, upstairs on the 2nd and 3rd floor.
Miss Alma is the next guest. She's coming in to talk with us about
Yeah.
court, and I'm sure that that's something she's probably going to touch on too.
Yeah, because they were on the 2nd and 3rd floor. And there was, almost every department. Clemson Extension was in there too. So
Wow.
a lot of the judges, they were there. So, of course, there was a lot of them, in that, down there in the courthouse. That's all we had at that time.
I can't imagine there being room for that based on just, the space that there is now.
Well, everything was so much smaller, on a smaller scale.
How many
Everything.
employees did we have back when you started? Do you have any guess?
No, I sure don't. I really don't. I think in Sonny's office there was, there was a mapper, and then an appraiser. And we didn't have but about 6 people at that time when I started.
Well, Miss Susan, what else can you think of to tell us about the things that you have seen and done over all these years?
Well, the mapping, that was another thing. The mapping, we started out with mapping. We had mapping in that office then. And it went from there to, now it's gone to GIS.
Mm-hmm.
So we were responsible, the assessor's office was responsible for the mapping. And then Gordon changed that. So it got changed to GIS and didn't fall under us anymore. And so the maps are really, really important to get done.
Yeah.
And because the public looks at that so much. And then we have another software, which is QPublic. And it's amazing how everybody, really, the public looks at that a lot. Yeah. And so the
things I assume that once you'd have had to go into the courthouse and actually look at like physical documents.
Correct. And then when Sale was there, the guy from QPublic came, and we worked out what he wanted, because he wanted it to show the taxes also. And so now we've kind of pulled away from that now, but we do show all the values and what the taxable value is and things like that. So. And that's been a very big help to us, because people can now go online and look at all this rather than coming in.
Yeah, that frees up your staff and saves people a trip to the courthouse.
Correct.
And having to find a parking spot and all that fun stuff.
That's correct.
Well, Susan, I hope that you will be here for many more years. Thank you so much for your service to the county, and congratulations on your work anniversary.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Our next guest is a great friend of mine. Her name is Alma White, and if y'all don't know her, you're missing out. She's a wonderful lady. She is our longtime Georgetown County Clerk of Court. And thank you for being here today.
My pleasure.
One of the things that we like to do on this podcast is just kind of talk about our various departments sometimes, and the things that, we do that a lot of people may not know happen or, may not understand. So, Miss Alma, tell us a little bit about what all goes on in your office. Y'all have a pretty extensive operation over there.
We do. And it's amazing in this sense when people ask me specifically about my duties and responsibility. It's challenging because you're doing so many different things at different times, but it does fall under, or at least on my shoulders. The clerk of court office serves as the administrative arm of the court system, of the state court system. Every county in South Carolina has a clerk of court, and the clerk of court is elected by the people of the county to help manage the court system at the circuit court level. There are 3 different local levels of courts in each county. You have a municipal court, if you got a city. So the city of Georgetown has its own court system. The town of Andrews has its court. And then, of course, you have the magistrate level court, summary court. It is referred to a lot. And I think we got 6 magistrate judges in Georgetown County. I have nothing to do with those courts. That does not, those courts do not fall under my purview per se in terms of managing the court system.
So you're the local arm of state court.
The state circuit court. And under the umbrella of the circuit court, and I will say this for some of the listeners, because people who come into South Carolina from another state, what we refer to as circuit court in South Carolina, most of the other states in the union refer to it as superior court.
Yeah.
Okay.
And solicitor may also be a term I think a lot of people don't use in other states.
That is correct. And many times when I'm talking to jurors, people who come in for jury duty. I try to give them a little brief summary of what I'm telling you to make sure they understand. And I let them know that I know if you relocated to South Carolina from another state, the prosecuting attorney that we refer to as the solicitor, in almost all the other states in the union, they refer to as the DA, the district attorney. So that's the equivalent there.
The term most of us know from all those law shows that we like to watch.
That is correct. And so under the umbrella of the circuit court, I really have, there are two courts under that umbrella. Those two courts are General Sessions Court, that is the formal name for criminal court. And then we have Common Pleas Court, that is the formal name for civil court. And then the third court that I'm responsible for administratively would be family court. And we like saying among ourselves, clerks in the court system, that's, family court it's a monster of a court for many reasons. You got domestic related things,
A lot of difficult things that come
things
to those courtrooms.
and then that child support operation, that's an operation really unto itself.
Yeah.
And then the other component that I have to help manage administratively is the jury system. Because when people think of courts, they think of what you see on TV, Law and Order, and any of the other ones where they got a jury and those kind of things. Well, if we need a jury when we do trials, but not the court schedule is not always dedicated to trials. But when we have trials on the schedule, I know that the clerk of court office responsibility is we see the date or the term of court that the trial is set. My office responsibility is to make sure that I summons enough jury, enough people in this county to come in to potentially serve jury duty that week. And my job is to make sure, and we normally send out like 250 summons.
I keep waiting to actually get picked. You haven't picked me up.
Well, I don't know whether you like that you hadn't gotten picked, or whether you really desire to. Interestingly that you said that. There are people out there who would love to serve, and they never get called.
I think it sounds interesting.
And then there are many who come, and they come sometimes grudgingly. They don't want to be bothered with the system. But when I get an opportunity to talk with them, just like I'm talking to you right now, one, I remind them it's really not the worst thing in the world. I said, this helps you experience some of the things that you learned in the civic class, probably when you were in the eighth grade, something like that. That it really didn't mean anything to you, except we received the information from the teacher, and then we retained it for a little while and regurgitated it back on paper so we could pass the test.
And then you forget about it once the test is over.
And then you forget about it once the test is over. But you get to actually live and be a part of some of this. Since the court system is one of the three branches of government.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but to get back to these different components of the court system that we have to deal with, with family court, well, first of all, in all of the courts, administratively, we work very closely with the judges. You know, it's a lot of conversations back and forth. There's a lot of emailing back and forth, because just because you have things planned, and just because the South Carolina Court Administration does all of the scheduling for the circuit court, things change, sometimes change on a dime. But you may have been scheduled for a trial at a certain week, but attorneys are always talking to each other. Attorneys on both sides, and
Those
especially
attorneys do love to talk.
yes, they do, and especially on the civil side, common pleas. You know, the goal is to resolve a civil matter, and when they could continue to communicate, and each of them communicate with their clients, if they reach a settlement,
Yeah.
then we don't need a trial. But and I'm, you know, I mean, you have major cases. Some of them could be medical malpractice. You know, some of them could be, you know, property dispute. You got your, you know, you over my property. You know, termite cases.
Yeah.
You know, you got
I bet you've seen a
300.
lot.
Well, I used to see a lot, but what I do now, I try to make sure that my staff, I got different court clerks to be in that courtroom. They my deputy clerks, because we've got 5 courtrooms over there. Actually 6, but 5 that I use for family court and these other matters. And no one clerk could be in every courtroom, so the longer I kind of serve, and more I let a staff member work that courtroom with the judge, it makes my office stronger, because they get to learn. And now they're at the point they pretty much know more than me, because they're in the courtroom more than I am. But I'm moving around a lot because I want to make sure, as the clerk of court, that everything is running smoothly in that building. You know, you got judges that come over for family court. You got a DSS that's very well connected to family court. You got other agencies that come in to help with that family court system. People taking swab tests for,
Yeah.
you know, trying to figure out, you know,
DNA.
parental, DNA, you know, and of course attorneys. That's the attorney's office, away from their office,
Yeah.
you know.
So how many staff members do you have who help you manage all of this?
Well, including myself, there's 15 of us. When we moved into that new courthouse building in 2009,
And that's
there
the
were
one over on
actually-
Cleveland Street beside the library. You used to be packed into the old historic courthouse
Yes.
with the other county operations.
Yes, and I thank God for the county leadership team at that time that was willing to take that that leap of getting the county a new
Caught
courthouse,
up, so to say.
Yeah, because it helps us a lot. What we needed, we couldn't get in the historic courthouse. We could not get the technology that we needed, mainly because of those thick cinder block walls, in terms of trying to run, at that time, Cat 5 cables and anything else they had to do. We couldn't get any more space. We just had that one main courtroom that council now uses
Its
as
chambers.
its chambers. And we didn't have any attorney conference rooms. We didn't have any waiting rooms. We didn't have a jury assembly room. I mean, you get roll call. The solicitor was trying to do roll call, and people would just be hanging out on the sidewalk, on the walkway, under the trees, waiting, you know. And most importantly of all, and I thank all of my county colleagues who still have their offices in the old courthouse building. They probably celebrated when we moved because parking was a challenge on that corner of Scriven and Prince Street.
I can only imagine it's still a challenge some days. So
And so when you summons the jury to come in, I mean, people were parking all on Front Street. The solicitor office was on the corner of Front and Queen, and they would have to roll their files across the parking lots to get to the courthouse. They did have a little office space in there, but it was a challenge. So I'm grateful for the leadership team back there when that was done. I think Tommy Edwards was the administrator then, and I think Johnny Morant was
council chair.
the chair, yeah. And so we've been in that building. But what I was getting ready to tell you, when we went over there were 25 employees because all we could do is anticipate running more than one court at the same time, since we know there were 6 courtrooms in the new building, 5 that we use. We allow the probate judge and the master in equity to share one of those courtrooms. So technology has made it possible that through attrition, we're down to 15.
Yeah.
And the technology, let's talk about civil court. If an attorney is filing a lawsuit in civil court, nobody comes to the office to file a lawsuit. It's e-filing. Everything is coming through that system. E-filing has, for civil court back then, that we used to have to do everything manually. With the dockets, I can remember attorneys coming by the office at the old courthouse just to pick up a docket to do whatever. But I had 6 people helping to make common pleas court run. I remember, God bless her soul, Wanda Cribb, who was running our common pleas court. But now with technology, you give me 2 good women or 2 good men, and we're good to go.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big change.
It is, because, when they file, not only do we see stuff on the outside, the judges are seeing it. It runs through the system, and that works well. Even with, General Sessions Court is different, because I'm sitting here talking to you now. I'm sure there's a blue light someplace or somebody trying to serve a warrant somewhere. And so that's the nature of what we deal with in criminal court. And warrants are being served. Those warrants are generated by the magistrate court. They do all of the bond hearing stuff at the detention center. When warrants need to be issued, it comes through the magistrate court, not unless the circuit court judge orders it from the bench or something like that. And when we get that information from these municipal courts or the magistrate courts, they transmit that information to us. They have about 15 days, according to statute, to get it to the clerk's office. And when it gets to the clerk's office has 2 days by statute to process that warrant and pass it on to the solicitor's office. That's why a lot of times people get arrested, and sadly for first-time offenders, because they don't know the system, and when they're young people, young adults, and parents, or spouses. They always call in the clerk's office because they're trying to see, when is he going to court or whatever. We have none of those answers. We direct them to the solicitor's office because in the end, those cases are not going to come before the judge for resolution or for disposal until the solicitor puts it on the schedule. They dictate, along with the judge, but mostly them, what cases will be brought in this term of court, whether it's a term of court in February, March, April, whenever. And, I tell people I have no idea. My job is to put court schedule. We make sure that we have files that they need, any indictments from the grand jury, and they will tell us which ones they need before we go to court. And my job as a clerk is to show up in the courtroom and do what the clerks do. But I don't, we all got a role to play, and I mean it's what I call teamwork. I mean, because we all on the same system, we in the same environment in terms of moving the cases through the system.
Yeah.
And there's just so many moving parts and a lot of different stakeholders.
And it can be intimidating for somebody who's going to your facility for the first time, be it for jury duty. We hope that's why most people end up there.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for people who are going into the judicial center?
I think, and everybody has tried to be helpful, starting from the time you enter the building. Those security officers, they do a great job of helping to direct people and where they need to go. Folks call the clerk of court office for a lot of things, and my instructions to my staff, where they're supposed to go. I said, even if you know the answer to a question, if that's something that falls under the purview of the public defender, the solicitor, or whoever, just simply direct them there. We do what we do. We don't want to cross over into anybody's lane. Everybody got to stay in their lane when it comes to the docket, scheduling, whatever we got, we could share that. But when they want to know more specific things, I can't get in touch with my attorney. I keep calling him and they never return the call. I would just tell them, keep trying. You have an attorney of record. And first of all, the court system admonishes clerk of courts across the state and his staff. We are not attorneys, and we are not to try to give legal advice.
Oh, of course not.
And and it sounds, I don't want to say unkind, because that's, people are trying to find answers, but we always tell them, if you don't have an attorney, you really need to get an attorney. If it's a criminal matter, you can't afford one, we let them know, go right down the hall and around the corner. There's a public defender office there, and they will help to, because it can be a frightening experience, especially for people who are, law-abiding citizens.
You certainly wouldn't want to do more harm than good by accidentally giving the wrong advice.
That is correct.
Your staff has been nothing but kind and courteous and great with instructions and good at putting people at ease. So I thank you for that and for your service. And Ms. White, thank you so much for coming in today and for what you do for Georgetown County.
Well, I'm glad I had this opportunity to share this time with you. Thank you. Appreciate you.
That's it for this month's First Friday with Georgetown County. Thanks so much for joining us. As always, I'd like to bring you a list of important events to note coming up this month. First, as Lieutenant Ketcham mentioned earlier, don't miss the Polar Plunge tomorrow morning at the Oceanfront Litchfield Inn. Registration begins at 10 a.m., and the plunge is scheduled to begin at 11:30 a.m. You must donate a minimum of $50 to take part in the plunge. Georgetown County Council meets twice this month, on Tuesday, February 10th and Tuesday, February 24th. Both meetings are scheduled for 5:30 p.m. in County Council chambers. The Planning Commission will meet on Thursday, February 19th, also at 5:30 p.m. in council chambers. The Board of Elections and Voter Registration will meet at 5:30 p.m. on Wednesday, February 11th at the Office of Elections and Voter Registration. SC Works in Georgetown County are collaborating to hold the 3rd annual Georgetown County Job Fair on Thursday, February 12th from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Howard Center in Georgetown. Lastly, county offices, the landfill, and recycling centers will be closed on Monday, February 16th in observance of President's Day. For more events, please visit our website, gtcounty.org, and join us next month for another First Friday with Georgetown County.